Hello, welcome to First Chapter Friday. This week's book is Searching for Lottie by Susan L. Ross. It is a historical fiction book and was on the nominees list last year. Chapter 1, Hillmont, Connecticut, September 2010. Is this the girl who died? Charlie asked softly. She held up a faded black and white photograph of a young girl wearing a flowered dress with a white lace collar. The girl had large, shining eyes and a mischievous grin. What was that? Mom stopped short, her arms full of laundry. Is this the girl I was named after? Charlie sat cross-legged on the couch in the family room beside the kitchen. Headphones held back her long red hair. An oversized photo album rested on her knees. Mom set the laundry on the kitchen table. Let me see. She glanced at the old photo and sighed. Why are you looking at these today? School report. Charlie pulled the headphones from her ears and pushed her corkscrew curls to the side. You know how all the 7th grade social studies classes do a family research project for the first assignment of the year? Jake did his on Dad's great-grandpa from Lithuania, remember? It turned out he was a lawyer just like Dad. Are you talking about me? Jake bounded into the room, his mouth full of chips. He was endlessly tall and equally annoying. And how I totally aced that project? Absolutely not. And could you please go away? Charlie's eyes flashed. Hey, what are you listening to? Jake frowned as he strained to hear the sounds coming faintly from the headphones on the couch. What the... Charlie, is that classical music? Why do you listen to this stuff? Is that like an opera or something? It's Mozart, hot-faced. Charlie hit the pause button on her phone to silence the music. Jake mumbled something about musicians being temperamental and went to check the refrigerator. Mom sat down beside Charlie. Okay, I remember Jake's project now. Tell me more about yours and what you're considering. Well, you know we have to choose a family member to research, right? So I'm thinking of picking the other Charlotte, the girl who died in the Holocaust, the one you named me after. Charlie passed the album to Mom, who slowly turned the pages. Each one was filled with fading faces staring out from a different time. The women wore calf-length dresses and the men were outfitted neatly in suits, with vests and pocket watches. Mom paused at the photo of a smiling teenage girl with long banana curls pulled back in a large white bow. The girl was holding a violin. Here she is again, Mom said. This is Lottie. Lottie? Not Charlotte? Lottie was a nickname for Charlotte, and that's what everyone called her. Mom hesitated. We were going to call you Lottie, but your brother said it sounded too old. It was Jake's idea to use the name Charlie. Oh, I didn't know that. Charlie cocked her head as she examined the photograph. She looks pretty. She was very pretty, I think. Mom replied. She had lovely eyes like you and dimples around her mouth the same way you do. And of course, look at her hair. Both of you have those gorgeous curls. Mom smoothed the bangs of her own straight brown hair and smiled. Charlie squinted as she inspected the picture. I don't think she looks exactly like me. I have red hair. Hers is dark. Maybe our eyes are a little the same. Hers might be blue. Charlie looked up. Lottie was Nana's sister, right? Yes, Lottie was several years older. Your Nana told me how clever she was. How determined, just like you. Mom smiled. And here's another thing you two have in common. Lottie played the violin. In fact, Lottie played so beautifully that she performed with the Vienna Philharmonic when she was a teenager. Seriously? That was a weird coincidence. Violin was her thing, too. Charlie had begged her parents for lessons when she was still in kindergarten. She had always loved music, and she liked pop and hip-hop as much as any kid at Hillmont Middle School. But there was something about classical that made her heart skip. She could lose herself in a symphony, in a strange way that she never tried to explain to her friends. Only her best friend Sarah understood that feeling, but Sarah had moved to Boston over the summer. I guess she must have played a lot better than Charlie does. Jake stood in the arch between the kitchen and the family room, gulping down a Gatorade. Charlie stinks at the violin. Charlie flung a pillow, though it fell short of its mark. She might not be nearly as good as Lottie had been, but she sure didn't stink. Jake, don't you have homework to do? Mom's voice sounded strained. Jake rubbed the cowlick at the top of his towering head and grinned. Finished an hour ago. Charlie tugged on Mom's sleeve. What else do you know about Lottie? Well, the family was from Vienna, the capital of Austria. Her father was a math professor at the university. And what exactly happened to them? Mom hesitated, then let out a long sigh. Honestly, I'm not entirely certain. When the Germans invaded Austria, the Jews were at the mercy of the Nazis. I know that Lottie was lost, along with my grandfather. My grandmother and Aunt Rose were lucky to escape. They came to America on a ship. So Lottie died, right? Charlie swallowed hard. Yes, I guess she must have. Mom looked uncomfortable. You guess? You don't know for sure? Charlie sat up straight. She searched her mother's blank face and glanced down at the photo. Lottie's eyes were bright with long dark lashes, and they were staring up at her. The truth is that nobody knows exactly what happened to Lottie, Mom finally answered. But entire families perished. Nearly all of our family members who couldn't leave Europe were killed. She began carefully folding laundry. Charlie took a deep breath and frowned. If she lived, Lottie would have to be very old right now. Don't you get it, Charlie? Jake asked, suddenly serious. She must have died. You couldn't possibly find her alive, and you probably wouldn't find out anything new about her either. You'd be better off picking somebody else. Charlie threw another pillow from the couch. This time it soared slightly shy of Jake's head. Sweetheart, Mom said gently, you have to understand that even if you do learn something new, the ending of the story will be very sad. The Holocaust was a tragedy that touched every Jewish family. Mom, I'm 12. I'm old enough to know. Mom smiled, a sad sort of smile, proud and worried at the same time. Are you absolutely sure you want to research Lottie? Because you could do a terrific report on... I've decided, Mom. I want to find out more about Lottie, who she was, and what really happened to her. Charlie crossed her arms. I'd better get in touch with Nana Rose to get started. I'll think up some questions to ask her. Mom nodded. Well, we'll be visiting Nana at her new retirement community in Florida in a couple of weeks. Do you want to call in the meantime? Charlie shook her head. Not for this. Nana Rose has trouble hearing me, and she always gets mixed up over the phone. Once she thought I was her accountant, Jake added. Do you have time to write? Mom suggested. She loves getting letters. Charlie nodded. Yeah, I have a whole month. The report's due the first week in October. Hey, what's this? Mom had flipped to the last photograph in the album, which was a picture of Lottie in the park. She looked about 6 or 7 and was playing with an old-fashioned top dangling on a string. Charlie touched the plastic covering the photo. I think Nana gave me a toy just like this when I was little. It's called a diabolo, Mom replied. You loved tossing it way into the air and catching it above your head, remember? You practiced and practiced all summer and wouldn't come inside even when it got dark. It's funny that Lottie and I like the same toy. Charlie paused, then slipped her headphones back on. Music filled her head once more. She could see Jake out of the corners of her eyes, conducting in the air with a fake baton and snickering. Charlie looked the other way and turned up the volume for the last movement of the symphony. It was her favorite part, the string section swooping and swelling until her pulse raced along with the music. Lottie must have been amazing on the violin if she had performed with the Vienna Philharmonic. Charlie got nervous just playing at her school concerts. Charlie shut her eyes and shuddered. How could a girl like that simply vanish? And that is the end of chapter 1.